Hi, I'm mofaul, and I'm going to tell you the story how I went from beleaguered, not performing professional woman, doubting myself, to a top C-suite executive in my dream company at a salary beyond my dream salary, totally crushing it and building an organization and building people at the same time. How I became that executive I'd always wanted to be. I was a struggling professional woman coming out of my nursing career. I liked the aspect of healthcare business more than the bedside, and I found myself gradually taking on roles that were more business oriented in healthcare, and I found out that I was good at it. And then I also found out that I was the only one in the room, that what I said wasn't often taken up, that if a guy next to me said it 5 minutes later, we went with his idea. And all along my career, I experienced the typical sexism type of obstacles. And I tried to ignore it at first because I'm tough, I'm smart, I'm ambitious, and at some point I just couldn't keep ignoring it. I asked to take over a particular project and I was turned down even though I was the most senior in the room. It was obvious that I should be the one who does it, and I was turned down. Oh, and then a 25-year-old guy got the project. So all through my career, there have been circumstances like that. And my career spanned over 30 plus years. I'm happy to say that at the end of my career, I was one of many women in the room, one of many women advancing ideas, but I went through all of the sexism, mansplaining, being passed over, not being considered for promotions, even though I was by far the most qualified. And of course, the dirty side of this also is the times where I was sexually harassed, I was demeaned, I was put in my place, and I sort of felt like I had to put up with that to a degree because what do? Fight back? As a matter of fact, one time, about halfway through my career, I did report a guy who said completely inappropriate sexual comments to me in a meeting full of others. And I know now that it was his way of putting me in my place and stripping me of any authority I had. Believe it or not, I was a vice president in the room at the time. And I was shocked that this guy said those things to me in front of everyone else. So at that point, I was not putting up with it. But you know, the real turning point for me was when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had just taken on a new job. It was frankly my dream job at a dream company. And I was so excited to get started overseeing a national healthcare company and being put in the position of retooling their operations and positioning them for growth. I was excited, I was happy, my team was excited that I was there, and within 2 months, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I sheepishly went into my boss's office and said, I'm gonna have to be out for a couple of months. I have a medical condition, a medical issue I have to address. And luckily for me, he and the company were very supportive and said, whatever you need, we've already seen your work ethic. We've already seen what you bring to the table. We want you to come back fully ready to go. Whew, okay. So even though it was very difficult, I had a double mastectomy, I had chemotherapy treatment, I came back probably a little too early, but I was happy and excited with what we were all about doing and my team, and I wanted to come back for them. But the real turning point was while I was recovering at home. I deeply reflected on what was missing in my career. Why was I missing this extra gear? Why was I not as easily moving forward and getting promoted and making the money that I knew my male counterparts were? And then during that convalescence period of time, I realized that there were pieces of me that I had shut down and I had completely put aside because either I was afraid of exposing them or I had gotten told not to be that way. So my career was a lot of acting the way I was told to act or acting the way that I was supposed to act in order to be a successful professional woman. But my aha moment came when I realized how committed I am to the people I work with, how much of a people person I am, and how committed I am to developing people. I had shut those pieces of myself off. And here's the funny thing. I teach all of my clients in my 12-week workshop this. The funny thing is that came to me in a memory. And my memory was how joyful I was teaching neighborhood kids how to ride their bikes, when I saw them struggling with that new bike, shiny new bike, and they're struggling riding that bike and not having fun. And I had this blue and white bike that I could take anywhere through mud and streets and zip it around. And I said to one kid one day, I can help you with learning how to ride your bike. You can? I said, yeah, sure. So I just had this intuition about when to let go, when to have them pedal faster. It was easy for me. And then all the neighborhood kids wanted me to teach them how to ride bikes. And I was having a blast. Now, I'd forgotten about that memory. But the thing that brought it back is I was home one night. Our whole family was home and it was near bedtime. And the doorbell rang. And one of the neighbor dads came to the door. Being a Catholic girl, being raised with a lot of guilt and shame, I thought I was in trouble. But this dad wanted to see me to thank me. And I'll never forget the feeling of him actually putting a dime in my hand to thank me for teaching his daughter how to ride her bike. I was shocked. I was surprised. I was happy. I was euphoric that he saw in me a special talent and a gift, and how he appreciated that. And when I'm convalescing from my breast cancer, I'm like, that part of me has gotten lost in the shuffle. So I brought her back, and I came back fully ambitious to help my team get better, to help teach them techniques to be better leaders, better managers of their areas, better with clients. I just went all in on teaching everything that I had learned to advance my career to my team. And you know what? I was sort of surprised. Their marriages got better. Their clients started talking about how great they were on the client sites. They began feeling happier at work, and we had better team spirit and team communication. I felt like I had touched on a magic formula. So what happened from that point on is that I decided that that soul part of myself was the missing piece to my career. So I went back after my breast cancer in that pretty new job and totally rocked it, because I was all in on being me. I was all in on helping my team shine. I was all in on not having to look over my shoulder or guess myself whether I was doing the right thing. I came back with confidence. And it didn't hurt that with going through a breast cancer scenario, I also didn't have to think, well, what's going to happen if I do it wrong? Because when you go through cancer, you sort of get that you only live once type of attitude. So I was free. I was free to be myself. And it showed in my performance. It showed in the responsibilities I continued to get. And it showed in how my team and I just thrived. Unfortunately, 3 years later, I was passed over for a promotion. And that set the stage for the next leap in my career. So I got passed over for a promotion that everyone thought I should have gotten. I was devastated. I was questioning myself again. And all of the baggage from the past about questioning everything about myself, my career, all the hurts, the other passed overs, the times I've been missed for a promotion or not gotten the money that was promised, all of that came flooding back to me. It took me a while to recover from that. But fortunately, an executive recruiter called me within weeks for an even better job. You know what I realize now? That you can outgrow a job and a company, and it's time to move on no matter how great it was. And I learned at that point that the loyalty in one's career is for herself. There is no company that is going to manage or manicure your career. You are responsible. And as much as that was a very difficult decision for me to make, that job turned out to be the best job ever. I took a huge pay increase, a huge level of responsibility, and I was perfectly suited for it. Had I not had that job, I would have never been selected for that next bigger job. Had I not gotten passed over for the promotion, I would not have taken the executive recruiter's phone call. But I was now ripe and ready to move on and to see what else was possible for my career. It was a heartbreak to leave my team, who I had groomed and helped and developed, to leave a company I'd helped build by hundreds of millions of dollars over the years that I was there, people who had a high regard for me. It was sad to leave that, but I did, because I knew that I was the one responsible for my career, and that move was the best move for me. Here's sort of the funny part of that story. I took many of my team members to that new company. And furthermore, every executive now at that old company has to sign a disclaimer that they won't take employees from the company. There was no such thing when I was there. So I took 5 or 6 people with me. I made them vice presidents. I hired a guy who was one of my finance people and helped him become a chief financial officer. I was able to transition not only my career to the best job ever and making over 100K plus, but also others. I elevated others' careers by taking on that opportunity and risking leaving a company that took care of me, and I took care of them. So the loyalty that so many professional women have is for the company. But the loyalty that you have to have in your career is for you. You have to make the bold moves. You have to be in charge of who you are, what you do, how you get paid, the responsibility and growth level that you continue to grow in. It's important that you take responsibility for your career trajectory. There is no one else who cares as much about your career. You may have some good bosses along the way, but likely you're going to have more bad bosses along the way. It's your job to grow yourself. It's your job to develop yourself. It's your job to take risk and responsibility and to believe in yourself. After I came back from my breast cancer and came back with my full, entire soul and all of the enthusiasm for being a leader who lifted people, for being the leader who helped develop not only people but companies, after being passed over for the promotion, getting that next awesome job, realizing that I needed to take responsibility for my career, I then, after I hit that top level of success, started developing a curriculum in my head. What are the things that professional women need to believe about themselves and to do that they're typically missing out on? And I began developing that curriculum and thinking about how I could make this more of a formal situation for professional women. I did it with the women and the men who reported directly to me, but I wanted to have a bigger impact in the world than just my direct reports in the company I was working in. So I retired after a fantastic career, and 10 years ago, I developed a curriculum for a 12-week journey to help professional women go from feeling beaten down, less than, earning less, doubting themselves, going through toxic environments, having job trauma of job loss, being fired, being bullied, all of the things that I experienced. Over a 12-week journey, I help you come back to your soul like I did. I help you define and identify your career achievements that are the things that make you unique like I did. I help you weave that into your career story, an elevator pitch, and being able to interview powerfully and proudly and not have to put the credit on so many other people. You accomplish things, you do things. And this is the root of how we help professional women in my 12-week program gain their soul power and be able to infuse that in what you know how to do as a professional, whether that's an attorney, an engineer, a marketer, physician, a healthcare executive, no matter what your profession is. When you get that soul power back and when you can see the achievements that you've already done and you can pour that into a powerful combination of the new version of you with a great world-class resume, a LinkedIn where recruiters find you, all of these unique steps, and be able to interview powerfully and with full alignment of why you're the best candidate. This is exactly the trajectory that I took from my breast cancer through the end of my career. It works. It worked for me. It's worked for over 2,100 other women who I've been doing this with for over 10 years. There's nothing more gratifying than watching a professional woman going from struggle into her full self in that beautiful, perfect, right job at the right pay, in the right organization, and all of the rights because she has decided who she is, what she wants, and what her worth is. That's the combination that we use. And if you want help with this, click on the link below and we'll get started. You'll find out the keys to my professional formula.